Hey there, I'm Amy.Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. So like I mentioned, I'm a personal trainer. This is probably not news to you unless you are listening for the first time, in which case, welcome. I'm glad you're here. But as a fitness professional, I train my clients in various ways. Some of them are virtual. We have been using Zoom. I actually believe I used it since before COVID, but maybe COVID is what sparked that. I really can't remember. Sometimes it is in group settings. Right now, my groups are targeted more toward teen girls, but I have also done groups of women, and then some of them are in person. I am very fortunate and grateful to have a room with some gym equipment in it. So I am able to spend my one-on-one in-person clients in there. A few years ago, one of my clients arrived, and what happens is I meet him, of course, I mean, this is kind of standard, right? Like I meet him at the door and then we walk back. It's, like one room over and just do a little bit of chit chat. And so I kind of just started in like I normally do. And just as I was asking, well, how are you today? And she was saying, fine, I turned around just to make eye contact with her, because that's what you do when you talk with someone, you make eye contact with them. But I looked at her, and even though the words coming out of her mouth was fine, she was not fine. She just had this like forced smile and just blink, 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 blink. And I could just see tears welling up in her eyes. So I kind of gently ask a few questions. Of course, I want to make sure that they know that I care, but not dig too much in and not invade their space. But what I found was that she just had some struggles in her personal life right then that was causing her stress levels to skyrocket. And she walked in, she was like, I'm just going to come work out. But things were just not fine in her life at that time. And that happens to all of us, right? Like we all have those times that like all of a sudden things come crashing down. And so I took one look at the workout that I had planned that day, which coincidentally was a HIIT, a high intensity interval training. And I looked at that and I just kind of chunked it aside. I said, look, I don't know how you feel about this, but can we do something different? Can we just kind of take it down a notch? So I queued up, and she said yes, by the way. And so I queued up some more relaxing music, more than like the upbeat one that we normally do. And I just began guiding her through some movement that incorporated breathing, that incorporated some range of motion, nice and slow and controlled. We held some movements long enough to like feel like we were getting a nice stretch out of it, for those muscles to melt, but it wasn't painful. It wasn't too intense. She still worked for sure. And in fact, she at the end, she, I think, was a little more sweaty than she would have expected had I said what we were going to do at the beginning. But she looked at me, and her forehead was a little softer. Her eyes were a little lighter. And she said, thank you. I needed that. And if I'm honest, I consider that experience one of my biggest training wins ever. As a personal trainer, women come to me and they ask for help in getting stronger and more condition. And frequently they'll say things like, I just want to take care of myself, because a lot of my women are, I'm sorry, ladies, I'm just going to call it more seasoned. I'm there too, so I can use that word, but we're more seasoned. Maybe we're not quite as concerned about what our body's looking like, but what we are concerned about is how we feel and about taking care of ourselves. And on that day, one of those big wins for me was I helped my client take care of herself by pivoting the workout, by pausing what we were going to do. She didn't leave like with this personal best workout, but she did leave feeling the best she could at that time. We checked in with what her body was telling her. We breathed deeply, and we acknowledged the emotional turmoil that absolutely impacts our bodies. So we just paused. Now, if you've been following this season, you know I am going through some of the areas that we need to focus on after 40, but don't always take the time. And pausing is one of those. Now, your story may not be the same as my clients, but you may have a problem with a relationship. You may have a problem with the child or work, or maybe your hormones are totally out of control. I've definitely worked with my clients through some hormonal issues on that day. We can all walk into a time expecting one thing, but actually our body is telling us different, and we need to pause. So you may be thinking like, okay, what do you mean by pause, Amy? Like, tell me what pause is. And I'm going to get there, but first I want to start by sharing the opposite of pause, which is also from my vault of Tales from a Fitness Professional. Only this time I'm not as proud. Okay. This is the opposite. It's something I actually wish I could go back. I used to teach a fabulous format that really focused on metabolic conditioning. It was various stages of intensity. It was so hard. My participants loved it. I did too. It was intense. It was super effective. It was only 30 minutes. And it was probably one of the more popular classes that I taught when I taught more group fitness to women. And I kind of embodied a more aggressive style of coaching for that class because it was the vibe of the workout. And I don't regret that. But what I do regret is I would point to the door and I would tell my participants, I want you to leave your problems on the outside. Don't even think about what is waiting for them. And I want you here. Now that seems like good advice. I get it. Like, how can we get a good workout if we are just totally burdened by the weight of our challenges? However, it doesn't take into consideration that our body is still feeling those emotions, even if we are not thinking about them. I used to think I could separate the mind and the body, like fitness was neck down, mental health was neck up, and whatever went on outside the gym, I could leave there and not be bothered by it until I got out. But as the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know. And quite frankly, I didn't know. I didn't know how integrated it was, how our body is our very best communication system with what is going on with us mentally and emotionally. And I really felt like an intense sweat session was the answer to those challenging days. Now, I will say it can be, depending on what your body needs and depending on what you need. It also may be the opposite of what we need. It may be that instead of doing that super intense workout, like the one I was just talking about, that we need to pause. And I now recognize the value in this. And this is something that I have been practicing, what I have been preaching, and it has made all the difference in the world. And before I get into all of the various ways that we can pause, I do want to explore a few things that can happen if we don't pause and listen and respond to our body. So what happens? Well, perhaps nothing initially, but your body feels the effect of stress regardless if you want it to or not. And it absolutely will feel the cumulative effects that causes inflammation, that causes other kinds of issues, that is just a cumulative effect that when we're constantly under that stress point, that our body does feel it. So it can manifest itself in a number of ways. Stress can. So here's a few things. Number one, it can cause tight hip flexors. Now, if you're like, wait, what? What I want you to do is go back to season 13 and tune into my conversation with Elisabeth Krystof. The title is Why Your Tight Hip Flexors May Be a Function of Your Nervous System. So that is what to look for over there in season 13. But basically, it's just a safety mechanism that our brain uses to decrease the space that we can cover to protect ourselves. Because if we go too far, then that can actually injure ourselves. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier, another thing that we can do if we don't practice this pausing state, if we don't take ourselves out of that super high stress state all the time, is it will increase inflammation. Increased inflammation makes us more prone to injury. Another thing it can do is it can actually decrease the absorption of food. So all of that food that you are intentionally thinking about, and if you're trying to get the right nutrients and trying to put, these God-given foods with the nutrients that He provides in your body, all of that is not going to be fully absorbed if you're super high stress. Now, this is something I learned with my conversation with Elise Muselis, also in season 13. And actually, I think it was the episode right after the one with Elisabeth, but it's Rewrite Your Food Story. So go check that out. P.S. The book that she wrote called Food Story is phenomenal. I'll put a link in the show notes for that. And then the other thing that being in that constant stress state is being more prone to develop autoimmune diseases. That's at least according to one study done on mice that were put in consistent high anxiety situations. Now, if you're sitting here thinking and arguing with me like, Amy, I'm kind of always stressed. Like, are you just telling me not to work out? No, that's not what I'm telling you to do. I get it. I totally get it. And I love those super high intensity sessions, but I use them judiciously. I promise I am not asking you to just not work out when you're stressed. What I am suggesting is you tune in and listen and respond, which can be the hardest part. Like, there are definitely times that I can hear it and I'm like, do I really want to do anything about that? And I'm always glad that I do. So here are some very actionable ways that you can pause. And this is not like, this is a pick and choose. Okay. So this is, consider it a buffet of ways that you can pause. And I know that I'm missing some, but these are just some of the ideas that I came up with in order to help you pause, check in, reduce that stress level, decrease that inflammation, take down your chances of injury, and maybe leave you with, a little bit lighter step and feeling nice and centered and balanced at the end of the workout. And I'm not talking about balanced like where you can stand on one foot. So here's a few ways to pause. Number one, if you are coming in hot from, say, work or dropping the kids off or whatever it is, and you're racing into the gym because you've had a really rough morning or a really rough afternoon and you're coming in, you're just going to get the workout done. What I want to challenge you to do is take 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, and take 3 slow breaths through your belly, through your diaphragm, in and out. Do that 3 times. Allow that part of your body that holds your stress. Maybe for you, it's your forehead. Maybe it's your neck. For me, it's my chest. Maybe it's your belly. Release that stress. Allow yourself to just take it down for just a second, just 20 seconds. If your coach complains that you're 20 seconds late, have them give me a call and I'll talk to them. I bet I can talk. I bet it's going to be okay. So that's one. 3 slow breaths right before your workout. Just kind of regulate yourself just a little bit. Another thing you can do is take that intensity down in whatever you are doing. Not every workout has to be a personal best. You don't have to get better every single time. And I know there are really great leaders out there that advocate, 1% better every single day. You know what? We just don't have to be 1% better. We are not competitive athletes. We are just trying to take care of ourselves. So not every workout has to be a personal best. Another option is practice yoga. I think the yogis have a great thing going. That is a lot of mind-body work. It is a lot of breathing. It is a lot of holding and pausing in emotion, or in a pose. You can find a plethora of videos on YouTube. If you have Apple Fitness Plus, you can choose practices based on time. So I will sometimes go in there and I'll just do a 10-minute movement or a 10-minute yoga practice because that's all I have time, but I just need to pull myself down a little bit. Another thing you can do is a mobility workout. And if you're not familiar with mobility, it is kind of a sister to yoga, but it's the one that I coach at least is a little more fluid. We don't hold poses quite as much. We really focus on that range of motion. So we're getting our femur and our legs moving in our full ball and socket joint, in our hip and our upper arm in terms of our shoulder. And it's really moving and kind of strange in different directions, but that's how we were designed to move. Now, if you've purchased my book, Your Worthy Body, Find Freedom and Health by Breaking All the Rules. Again, it's called Your Worthy Body. You have a 30-minute mobility framework in that book. So at the end of one of the chapters, and I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head what chapter it is, you have a step-by-step thing of what to do for a mobility workout. And if you're looking at that going, I have no idea what this is, then you're in luck, because in the book, you also get a QR code that will take you to a free online resource library. And in that, you have a 30-minute, that same workout, but the video, and we do it together. And you can do it as many times as you want until you get tired of me, and you will get tired of me because I get tired of me. But anyway, so that is a really great one to do, that mobility. Another thing you can do is swap a workout for some other type of productive coping skills. So maybe that is executing healthy boundaries, whatever that means for you. Maybe it is getting professional support. Let me tell you something, going to therapy in place of a workout is okay. I definitely recommend it, because they are going to give you tools and language that you are not necessarily going to be able to get from a fitness professional unless they are also a counselor, and those do exist. Those do exist. But, definitely you can skip a workout, go to therapy, get some professional help. You can also add in or replace with your workouts with meditation. This is something I've been trying to work on and do a little bit more, because I know that there's such great value in that. You can do another productive coping skill like volunteer, or just go outside, get some fresh air, get some sunlight. I mean, all of those kinds of things can help you take yourself to a more regulated state, rather than just going and pushing yourself to the brink of your limits when you're already at your limit. Another thing I want you to remember is we have different seasons. Okay, we have times that can be really hard, and it's okay to take things down. I do encourage you to keep moving, because there are so many benefits of that, but maybe that just means going outside, very leisurely 20-minute walk, and that just might be your season for that. It's okay to adjust your workouts. It's okay to take them up and take them down. And then actually there is a formal term called periodization that technically wants you to change your workouts up every now and then, because what happens is if we keep doing the same thing, we get really efficient, which I'm going off on a rabbit trail. I'm going to just stop right there. And another resource that is, I was kind of just released, and this was done by my friend, Emily Baker, who is a counselor. She was on back in season 12 as a bonus episode when she talked about how you can't leave your past in the past. It was called Your Story Matters, Why You Can't Leave the Past in the Past. Anyway, Emily has now gone into counseling. And one of the things that she has been doing on and off is providing a class called Selah, which is a pause, turn, and reflect class. It's amazing. She incorporates a lot of scripture in it. It's so powerful. I can't even tell you how cleansing it feels, and just how amazing it is. So I don't know what Emily's schedule is going to be with that, but if you will go over to Instagram and follow her at Story Matters Initiative, you'll be able to see if she has any classes or when they have, but I highly, highly, highly recommend that you take advantage of it whenever she does have it. And then, of course, my final opportunity or recommendation for an actionable way to pause is to participate in my new online on-demand class that incorporates several of these concepts. It is called Be Complete. It's also a great alternative to those days that you are just physically tired, but you still want to get some movement in because you know it'll help you feel better. You know it'll help you sleep better. I mean, this is like what I was talking about earlier of like take the intensity down. I did this last week, you guys. I was so exhausted by the end of the week. I'd had a great week, but I physically was so tired. And so I just took my mat outside. In fact, I put this out on social media. So if you look back in my feed for Instagram, you can see it. And I just went through this because I knew that I would feel really great when I did it. I'm telling you, like, I am walking this walk because I also know what happens if I don't, and I don't want to get injured. I'm so happy that I have gone the last at least 18 months without getting injured, and I don't want to anymore because it stinks. It stinks. So, anyway, Be Complete is definitely a passion project of mine. It is my fitness baby, and I'm so proud of it. And remember, it's an acronym for the 6 areas that we cover in this course and it launches July 26, 2022. So far, if you're just coming in now, we've covered B for balance, CO really for core, M for mini muscles, and of course this week is P for pause. So we still have 2 more. It'll be LE is one and TE is another. But this is about a 40-minute class. It covers all the things we want to be focusing on as we age, and including feeling more balanced and more centered and strong and limber. It is offered at $20, which is quite a deal because you can do it as many times as you want, whenever you want, but you can receive pre-sale pricing by going to gracedhealth.com/presale before July 19th. That's coming up, you guys, before July 19th. Receive half off the $20 rate. So you will get this full on-demand, do it whenever you want, as many times as you want class for $10. You can barely get a gallon of gas for $10 right now. So I promise it is a great value. Head over to gracedhealth.com/presale, all one word, PRESALE, to sign up. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.